The stage lights dimmed as a small, barefoot boy slowly walked out, his frame fragile, his clothes faded and worn. The audience shifted in their seats, curious about this young contestant who looked so nervous yet carried a quiet determination in his eyes. He stood before the towering judges' panel, gripping the microphone tightly as Simon Cowell leaned forward, asking him his name and where he came from. With a trembling voice, the boy explained that he was from a small fishing village in the Philippines. Life had been hard, his father gone, his mother working tirelessly to sell fish in the market, while he sang on the streets to earn a few coins so they could buy rice. His voice cracked slightly as he admitted that he was not here for fame, but to give his family a chance at a better life. The arena fell into complete silence, thousands of people holding their breath, captivated not by a performance yet, but by the raw honesty of a child whose dream was not for himself, but for the ones he loved. Some in the crowd leaned forward, tears already welling up, as his humility and courage pierced through every heart. It wasn't just an introduction, it was a glimpse into a life of struggle and sacrifice, where hope was the only thing strong enough to keep him standing. The judges exchanged glances, visibly moved, sensing there was something extraordinary behind this shy boy. Then, as the music began to play, he closed his eyes, inhaled deeply, and prepared to transform his pain into something beautiful. In that moment, before even singing a note, he had already won the hearts of everyone in the room, because his story carried a truth the world needed to hear. The first soft notes of the music filled the arena, and the boy closed his eyes as though he was stepping into another world, one where hunger, poverty, and fear no longer existed. Then, with a deep breath, he opened his mouth, and from that fragile body came a voice so powerful it silenced thousands in an instant. The purity of his tone, the raw emotion laced in every word, sent chills down the spines of everyone watching. His voice wasn't polished by expensive training or luxury, it was shaped by struggle, by long nights of singing under flickering streetlights, by the need to turn pain into hope. The camera swept across the audience, revealing faces streaked with tears, hands clutching hearts, mouths hanging open in awe. Even the toughest judge, often quick to criticize, leaned back in his chair, visibly shaken by what he was hearing. This wasn't just music, it was a cry from the soul, a confession, a prayer wrapped in melody. As he sang about love, sacrifice, and holding on to dreams, the weight of his story bled into every lyric, carrying his family's hardships across the vast auditorium. Each note climbed higher, stronger, more desperate, as if he was pouring out every hidden hurt and every unspoken wish into the song. The audience sat transfixed, unable to look away, because they weren't just listening, they were feeling. By the time he reached the middle of the song, the entire theater had shifted into a sacred silence, broken only by his soaring voice echoing like a plea to the heavens. No one expected this, such power, such beauty, from a boy who once sang for coins on the streets. In that moment, he was no longer just a contestant, he was a messenger of hope, leaving every soul trembling in wonder. The song built steadily, climbing toward its peak, and the boy's small frame seemed to grow taller with each note. His voice, once soft and trembling, now soared through the auditorium with breathtaking strength, carrying a weight that made everyone hold their breath. As the melody rose, he lifted his head and stretched his arms wide, as though he were releasing years of struggle and pouring his entire heart into the air. Every ounce of fear, hunger, and longing turned into music that wrapped around the audience like a wave. People who had come for entertainment suddenly found themselves caught in something much deeper, a raw, unfiltered glimpse into a child's soul. Mothers in the crowd clutched their children, reminded of the sacrifices they too would make for love. Strangers held hands, united by the universality of his pain and his courage. Even the judges, who had seen thousands of performers, sat frozen, their eyes glistening, unable to hide the emotions rising within them. The boy's voice reached its highest note, trembling with power, and for a fleeting moment the entire world seemed to stop. It was not just a performance, it was a cry for hope, a declaration that dreams could survive even in the darkest of places. As the final note rang out, echoing like a prayer across the silent arena, the boy's chest heaved, his eyes still closed, afraid to see the reaction. Then, the silence broke into thunder. The audience erupted, leaping to their feet in unison, clapping, shouting, crying, giving him a standing ovation that shook the very walls of the theater. Overwhelmed, the boy lowered his head, tears streaming down his face. He had given everything, and in return, he had received something he never dared to imagine, love from thousands who now saw his worth. The arena was already roaring with applause, but what happened next turned the moment into pure magic. The boy stood trembling on the stage, tears running down his cheeks as he tried to catch his breath. He glanced at the judges' table, unsure if he had truly done enough. Then Simon Cowell leaned forward, his usually stern face softened, his eyes glistening. He spoke slowly, almost in disbelief, "That was one of the most powerful performances I've ever heard." The audience erupted again, cheering louder, as the boy covered his face, overwhelmed. Suddenly, Simon's hand reached for the button in front of him, the golden buzzer. The crowd gasped, and before the boy could even process it, Simon slammed his palm down with conviction. In an instant, the arena exploded into celebration. Golden confetti burst from above, cascading like a shower of stars, falling around the boy as if the universe itself was crowning him. He dropped to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably, clutching his chest, unable to believe what was happening. The judges rose from their seats, clapping and smiling, while the audience screamed his name in unison. Heidi and Sophia rushed to the stage, wrapping the boy in a comforting embrace, their own eyes filled with tears. The cameras captured Simon wiping at his eyes, a rare crack in his famously tough exterior, moved beyond words. This boy, who once sang for coins on the streets of a small Filipino village, was now standing in a storm of gold, his dream no longer a whisper but a reality. The confetti clung to his skin and hair, shimmering under the stage lights as he looked up through the tears, whispering, "Mama, we made it." It wasn't just a victory, it was a miracle, a moment that would inspire millions around the world. Backstage, the boy still had pieces of golden confetti stuck to his hair and clothes, clinging like reminders of a dream that had finally come true. He held the golden buzzer token in his small hands as if it were the most precious treasure in the world. With tears still streaming, he whispered softly into the camera, "Mama, we did it. I told you I'd make you proud." His voice cracked, but the sincerity in his words made everyone behind the scenes stop and listen. In that instant, it became clear that his performance was never just about music, it was about love, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond between a son and his mother. The judges gathered backstage, their expressions gentle, their words filled with admiration. They told him he wasn't only a singer, but a beacon of hope, a reminder that greatness can rise from the most humble places. Clips of the audience still wiping away tears flashed across the screens, strangers who had walked into the theater for entertainment but were now leaving with hearts forever changed. On social media, people began sharing his story, calling him, "the boy with the voice of an angel," and, "the child who reminded us what dreams are made of." His journey wasn't just about winning a show anymore, it was about inspiring millions who had ever felt small, unseen, or powerless. The boy looked up one last time, eyes shining under the stage lights, and smiled through his tears. He had carried the weight of his family's struggles onto the biggest stage in the world, and turned it into a song of hope that would echo far beyond the theater walls. His story proved a timeless truth: no matter where you come from, no dream is too small, and no heart is too poor to change the world.